we all know Ryan is a huge Atlanta Falcons fan. And
That's right.
yes, so
I
we have
forgot about
a
that.
lot to talk
Oh,
about
actually, we have
here.
two things to talk about here. First, well, not first, but we're gonna go over their schedule. But first, Eddie said that you actually saw the Penix, not it coming, but you saw it not as a huge surprise. I kind of want to
Yeah,
hear your take on
you
that.
got to explain that, Ryan, because I have a very strong I saw Penix throwing in some footballs with you
Yeah.
know, and he looked really good. So
Yeah.
when I reached out to Ryan, I'm like, dude, are you serious with this freaking Falcons pick? Does this make any sense? And he said he wasn't shocked. So now you have to explain yourself to the
Yeah.
two nobodies community, because apparently you and this guy who had a pre-mock draft from CBS Sports called it. What did you guys see? What should you guys know? Because we were all, if you saw our clip, blown away.
But did you call it, or did you just not seem as unexpected?
No, I definitely didn't call it. I did not call it. And for the record, I wanted a pass rusher, and honestly, they handled that. They did handle that. But when you know, I'm a professional listener, right? As a journalist, you're a professional listener, right? You're either listening to coaches, you're listening to athletes, you're listening to this report, that report, whatever else. So, as a fan, you're gonna, I'm gonna dig my journalistic claws into anything that's coming out of Flowery Branch, right? And I actually had an interview with the Falcons to be one of their sports writers. This was a couple months ago. I obviously didn't get the job, but I could have been moving to Flowery Branch and work for the Falcons if that would have happened. But no, you're listening to every single report that comes out, and the one that really kind of peaked for me was that the GM, as well as Raheem Morris, so Terry Fontenot, and then Zach Robinson, who's the new offensive coordinator, they all flew to Seattle to work out Michael Penix.
Yeah.
In Seattle. And they loved him when they were there because it was like 40-mile-per-hour wind and it was raining and everything else. And not only that, but they tried to work out a couple other quarterbacks. I can't remember who it might have been Drake May. But Drake May turned down a workout because he didn't feel like he would still be on the board where the Falcons were picking at 8. So he turned down a workout. Penix did not. And he was like willing to meet with them and everything else. So that's kind of endearing to a GM and into a franchise, right? This guy might be off the board, but he's just taking all the options that he has. Mm-hmm. So, you hear reports like that. You hear that they loved him when he went and worked out, absolutely throwing dots. He's one of the strongest arms, actually the best deep ball thrower that was in the draft, honestly.
Facts.
So when I hear that the brass is flying to Seattle to watch this man work out, or like the front office is going to just to watch him work out, you're like, okay, then this is a possibility, right? So like, this is something that's in the cards. And then you're sitting there and I'm like watching everything. And I'm like, we were just in quarterback purgatory for 3 years.
It was.
For 3 years.
As a Raider fan, I've been in purgatory since Rich Gannon.
Not put disrespect on Carly.
Oh, we will. Oh, we will.
Yeah, well, I think we'll probably get to the Raiders, right? But one of the things that kind of piqued my interest as well is during Raheem Morris's introductory press conference, he says, if we had better quarterback play in this building, I wouldn't be here. And this is before they got rid of Desmond Ridder.
I remember that.
I do remember.
This is everything. So that also made it a point that he was going to make sure that his job wasn't reliant on terrible quarterback play, because when you watch the tape, there's a number of games that they were a couple plays away from winning those games, but a bad fumble here, an interception there, and they're like, man, so I wasn't shocked by it. I the first words out of my mouth was they must have really liked him when they flew to Seattle. They you don't fly to Seattle for no reason. That was kind of the premise that I said.
No one flies to Seattle for no reason. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there was a serious reason and they really loved him. Right. So, and then, and then you hear people saying, well, why pay Kirk Cousins $100 million? And, and mind you, it's a 2-year contract. There's an out in 2026 as well. So if Kirk doesn't play well, insert Michael Penix. Right. So like, it is what it is. But like, the reason you signed Kirk Cousins, again, you were just in quarterback purgatory. Raheem Morris doesn't want his job to be resting on bad quarterback play. You want to make sure that that position is solidified because you see how important it is. And look at next year's draft. Who are the quarterbacks that right now we're nailing down and saying, who are we going to get? And then after that, who are those quarterbacks, right? Like, what is it? Arch Manning in the next 2 years, right? Like that's the one guy that I think we're going to rest our hat on because he's not starting this year. He'll start next year. Quinn Ewers is still under center.
Well, also
there's debate about that.
Raheem, or not Raheem Morris, but I think the
Fontenot,
GM, he said, hopefully we're not even there to pick a quarterback next year because we're not good quarterback play. So he's like, we don't know when again we'll have a top 8 pick. We're banking on having good QB play.
Yeah.
So that's also a good
There's
reason.
2 points I want to bring up about this thing. Okay. The first point I have is supposedly is that Kirk Cousins did not re-sign with the Vikings because they were upfront and said, we are possibly going to draft a QB with the 11th pick. I believe is what they had.
Yeah.
Which he immediately said, boom. Well, then the writing's on the wall. I don't need that. I want to go into a NFL team where I'm the dude. And then, so did Fontenot lie to Kirk Cousins? Because they just went and did exactly what Kirk Cousins did not want to get into a situation with.
I don't think that they lied to him. I think it was a chance of opportunity, right? If you look at the Falcons' last couple of draft picks, every single one of those draft picks are a chance of opportunity. I mean, look at every single one of them, right? Like Bijan, chance of opportunity, best athlete in the draft, got him. Kyle Pitts, chance of opportunity. He's an absolute unicorn at tight end. You're going to get him. Yeah. Same thing happened here where they didn't think Penix would be there. And there was a number of teams that were trying to trade up to get him. Right. So, and not only that, the reason you signed Kirk Cousins is because, again, you don't know if Penix is going to be there at 8 when you're drafting.
Yeah.
You have no idea. The best deep ball thrower. He was an absolute monster throughout the entire season. The only thing that was against him was his injury history, but he hasn't been injured in 2 years. Knock on wood. Hopefully he doesn't get injured again, but hasn't been injured in 2 years. Came back from that and played absolutely lights out. So I don't think that they lied to him. I think it was more of a chance of opportunity. They called him before he made the pick, but it was, they're on the clock and they're saying, guys, Michael Penix is still here. We can take him and solidify this position, not just this year, but for years to come, and as much as everybody's saying Kirk Cousins is pissed off, whatever else, like Kirk, you're coming off of a major season-ending injury. Yeah. You're 35 years old. And even though Michael Penix is 24, Warren Moon was 27 when he had his first start too. So let's pump the brakes a little bit, get into a little bit of history. Let's look at some of these left-handed quarterbacks that have really done well, specifically Michael Vick in Atlanta. So, let's kind of go with it. So no, I wasn't mad at the pick. I like I said, I'm a professional listener as a journalist. You listen to all the things that come out from people on the inside, because everybody that's on Twitter, they're not in the meetings. They're not doing the mock drafts. They're not seeing what these people are seeing. There can definitely be some swings and misses. We've had a ton of NFL busts, but when you have a chance to take a guy like Michael Penix, you take him, because if Kirk does go down again, I am not putting Taylor Heineke back in.
Oh, that's Eddie Money's boy. Watch out. Heineke's Eddie Money's boy.
Yeah, Rafa love Heineke.
So let me ask you. So my second point to this whole thing, which I don't know if you saw Joel Klatt's take. I love Joel Klatt's take on this whole thing, is that I would be equally pissed off if I was Michael Penix. You just stated he's 24 years old, and you're basically saying you got to sit for 2 years. Now you're 26. Michael Penix was possibly the most QB ready of all the QBs. And I think that's a real thing. I would be pissed off if I was Michael Penix. You could have went to the Raiders. You could have went to the Broncos. You could have went to
anywhere.
Maybe
Minnesota.
And been the day one guy.
I wouldn't say if I'm Penix, I'm pissed off though, because at worst, you're getting 2 years of experience of a QB who's been in the game for over a decade.
But Joel Klatt's point is that now that second contract is now delayed another 2 years, when That's the biggest thing for NFL QBs. They want the second contract.
want that second contract.
That's true, but then if you get off, think about it. If he really thinks he's that good, you can learn behind him even more. Let's say 2 years, contract market will go up, and then if you play really good that first year, it's like, damn, he waited 2 years, balled out his first year. Let's just re-sign him now before he balls out again the next year.
Listen, Penix is no Jordan Love. Jordan Love, I mean, he went through the pandemic.
You can't say that though. You don't know.
He was 100%. Penix was a better quarterback than Jordan Love.
Out of college.
Out of college.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And that's what I'm saying. Ryan, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed if I'm Penix. I'm pissed.
Yeah, as a player, as a baller, as somebody that wants to be out there, yeah, I can see being pissed off. But then you look at it, and no shade, but like, and maybe, and this is probably obviously my bias talking, but like, look at the other offenses you could have went into.
Okay, yeah. Hey,
right?
hold
on. So do you want to be
offense? Because he would have fit in like a glove.
He would have been perfect.
He would have been.
How dare you?
I was so pissed. That's who I wanted, man. And you stole my quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. But
he had a champagne bottle ready draft day. Regardless of what quarterback was taken, he said, "We're getting a franchise QB today. This will be popped."
And I did not pop that bottle of champagne that night.
You should have got a bottle of wine. That ages better than champagne.
You have a 20-year-old bottle right now.
I got a 2003 right here, Margot, and it's delicious. But that's how long it's been since I've had a good quarterback with the Raiders since 2003.
Not a great.
You guys picked up who? Bowers, right?
Yeah,
yes,
Bowers.
Yes,
number 13.
Yeah. I heard that was done to a coin flip.
So
there's it's not confirmed, but I think it was taken as, hey man, it was between you and Brock Bowers. It could have been a coin flip toss. I think he took it literally.
Yeah. He had a conversation with Terry and Arnold, who I thought was probably the second best corner. I believe Antonio Pierce said, hey man, it was a coin flip. And then Terry and Arnold went on, probably said a little too much, and people took it literally to make it seem, and as a GM in the NFL, you never want to, you always say whatever pick you get, whatever guy, that was our guy. That was our guy on our board. You never want to be perceived as an NFL GM, and you guys are flipping coins in the back to see who you're going to pick. Bad look.
Not a bad toss though. I mean, Brock Bowers or Terry Arnold. It's not
I got a question for Ryan as well as you guys, similar to that. So Ryan was saying earlier that the Falcons have been picking with chance of opportunity. And we saw this year that a couple teams, including the Raiders, were drafting the best guy on the board. A couple years, the Eagles have done that, mainly the Eagles. And we've seen Eagles and Ravens are mainly known for that.
Yes.
And their teams improve consistently. So is that going to be like the way of drafting from here on out, or more so need?
I really think Raiders have consistently, more than any other franchise in NFL, have drafted for need. And we have had the most first-round busts, and it's not even close. I don't even think the Lions have more busts than the Raiders in the first round. I mean, go back. I mean, you got lucky with Max Crosby. I believe, and the Ravens are a great example of this. Ozzie Newsome, a really level-headed, front office. I believe the best teams in the NFL draft best player available.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the Falcons have been doing that. And also the Penix pick was so that the Saints didn't get him too. That rivalry is strong between the Falcons and the Saints. They wanted to make the Saints were another team that wanted to trade up to get him. So they wanted to make sure that they got that. And the Falcons, honestly, they tried to trade back into the top 10 or think top 10 to get Latu. So like,
wow.
They were trying to go hard when it came to this draft because they want to win immediately. Right, like Raheem Morris wants to win right now.
Yeah,
I think we were talking about that on draft night. Ever since the Texans completely rebuilt their team in a year, you see a lot of teams trying to take that approach now.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if you agree with that, Ryan.
I do. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I love the draft the best player on the board outside of, there's teams that certainly need quarterbacks, right?
Yeah,
Commanders
yeah.
needed a
I mean,
quarterback.
obviously, unless you have a quarterback that you just signed for 3 years, 180 million, then it doesn't. Oh wait, that's exactly what you guys did.
No, do it. Do it. Do it.
I'm bitter.
Because, like
I'm bitter,
I said,
Ryan. I'm so bitter.
I did not want. I'm sorry, but I did not want Taylor Heineke to play again. I did not. And let's call it what it is. Taylor Heineke restructured his contract so that we could get some of these pieces. So he took, I think they restructured it so it was like a signing bonus. So they just kind of paid him out and he's making less during the season. But like we saw what that looked like. That's no shade to him. I think Taylor Heineke is a gamer. I loved him in Washington. I think that he was amazing for them. But it did not work out with him being a quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. And I was just like, I'm not a fan of it. So yeah, get us out of the hellhole that we were just in for the last couple of years as fans, watching our team just like, having Desmond Ridder fumble on the 1-inch line or fumble in the red zone or throw another pick over here. Right. Like, man, it just was so hard. It was just so hard. It's like when you go out with that one friend that is the reckless one, and you're like, listen, tonight, just chill, right? Like just do the right things tonight. Let us take the lead. But he was just like, no, like not gonna happen, and would just ambush, the crowd of girls and start breakdancing in front of them and then watching them scatter.
Ryan has dropped some knowledge. I love the whole being a journalist is professional listener. We got to get that on a plaque as well. Yeah. We're going to put a statue of Ryan on our show with a bunch of quotes that he had today.